Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome to another live stream episode. Whoa, it's so hot in here. It is absolutely crazy. In Germany, I think here in the attic, I have over 30 degrees and I'm just sweating the entire day. It's just absolutely insane. And by the way, the last 2 days were even worse, so it is absolutely crazy. But hey, I thought, yeah, I couldn't let you hang, guys, so I probably should go live and still do a live stream because we need to talk about my last video, the Kubernetes cluster project. And yeah, I bet you have a couple of questions, and I might just address some of those from the comments here in this live stream. So if you're watching the recording, you hopefully can also see my thoughts and my take on some of the recent comments that I got. Because yeah, what can I say? It's kind of an interesting project, the Kubernetes cluster, but it is still a project that gives me a lot of headache, and I need to find solutions for almost like each and every aspect of it. When it comes to networking, when it comes to storage, applications, and all of that stuff, yeah. And there are so many open questions I have for this project, and yeah. But hey, first of all, thank you so much for jumping in. Thanks for being here in this live stream. As always, we talk about HomeLab projects, tech, and anything that is related to IT. And yeah, so feel free to jump in, ask any questions today, because it's gonna be like an open Q&A section. Even though the main topic is my Kubernetes cluster, we still can take on a couple of other things as well in my HomeLab. So feel free to put it in the chat. And yeah, just wanted to say hello to some of you guys. So thanks for being here. Guten Tag, Christian von Xantios. Hey, guten Tag. Guten Tag, Mark. How are you doing? And everybody else, thank you so much. Hey, got you from Senegal. Hey, cool, nice. Yeah, that's amazing. So it's really awesome. You probably know, I always love when I see people from all over the world watching these videos. It's always great. So yeah, greetings to everybody. And yeah, let's start a bit. By the way, before we jump into the tech topics, I just ordered some new stuff for my other home projects. As you might know, I'm building a lot of stuff with Lego, and I just ordered some new Lego bricks here. Probably can tell by the Chinese labels that it is not an original Lego bricks. But anyway, I thought I just gonna go the cheap route and test out some of those bricks, how good they are, because sometimes I ordered some for my son and they were just terrible quality. But those are pretty good actually, even though the white isn't actually the widest white that or the whitest white that Lego has to offer. So you can definitely tell by the color that it's not original, but I think no one is gonna notice when this thing is placed here at the back of my studio. So probably this is gonna look great, but we will see. And by the way, I'm not working on this project the next days because it's just so hot in here, but that is something for like if it's getting colder again. So I'm gonna just have some fun building Lego. Maybe I also do this in some kind of video or story or social media live stream, whatever I'm gonna find. But yeah, that's something beside my regular tech stuff that I do. And as you might also see, I started practicing playing piano again. So, which you will probably see right behind me. It's an electric piano, so you can turn it on and off, and you can reduce the volume. Otherwise, it would be just terrifying for the entire house here. But yeah, it's also another hobby that I got myself started again. And yeah, maybe I'm spending more time on it when it's getting colder again, because currently it's just too hot in here in the studio to play piano or to build Lego bricks. It's something for like the fall, for fall this year, or even for winter, we will see. But yeah, I hope you got some projects beside tech as well, because sometimes working on HomeLab projects and working in tech can be devastating, and really is just destroying my mind sometimes. So it's really absolutely insane, especially with this Kubernetes project, because it is really, really a complex thing. And I even made some mistakes in this current project that I need to fix in some upcoming and follow-up videos. So we definitely have some enough Kubernetes content to talk about. But yeah, let's see what you got. Disclaimer, I'm Dutch, but next to the German border, so I know some basic German. Oh, cool, nice, yeah. I'm probably not going to talk German here in this live stream because, well, that probably would only be interesting for a fraction of people here. But anyways, maybe from time to time I'm doing that, but not really for long. Yeah, so let me just start reading some of your questions and let's discuss that. From Jose de la Cruz, I hope this is pronounced correctly, but I suppose. How do you power your HomeLab? Solar energy. Well, man, I wish I had solar power here, but honestly, well, this is I'm not. This is not my house, so this is like regular like rent, and that you don't have like the ability to add solar panels here to the roof or anything like this, because that would be an investment like the owner of that house would have to do. And yeah, so that sometimes comes with its own pros and cons. Sometimes it's better that you're not fully responsible for the house itself. But when we are talking about solar energy or about AC and cooling and stuff, well, then it's just a pain in the ass to live here for rent, because you are not allowed to do anything, right? You're not allowed to put a hole in the wall and put a cable through it or something like this. Is just absolutely terrible for somebody like me who likes to play around with stuff. And I would love to have some solar panels outside. In Germany, there are also very strict regulations when it comes to solar panels. So in Germany, we now are allowed to at least have like 800 watts of solar panels. So like this device that does all the electric energy and put it into the house. So that has to be throttled to 800 watts at maximum. If you need more, and if you have more solar panels and you need to have more energy that feeds back into the house electrics, you have to register that. At Germany, I don't know exactly where to register it, but it also requires, as far as I know, to at least have a company or something like this. So it is like we have very strict and sometimes very stupid regulations in Germany. Sometimes they're great. Like I like GDPR, for example, in IT, but those kind of things are just so annoying because they're actually limiting the investment and the development that the citizens are doing into like green energy and stuff, right? I mean, we would see many more solar panels in Germany if we wouldn't have those stupid regulations or registration requirements. But anyway, so yeah, long story short, I'm not using solar panels at home. Maybe at some day, if I can find a good and easy solution without having to drill a hole into the wall, and maybe I can find a way to add some of this. It's in Germany, it's called Balkonkraftwerk, so the very smaller devices that have at least or to maximum 800 watts. Maybe that's a project for maybe next year or so, but this year I'm not thinking about it. Summer is almost over, I believe, so it wouldn't be much. It wouldn't be a good decision right now, but maybe next year, who knows? So I definitely will think about it. Next question is from Centura. I hope I pronounced that. My question is about a VM cluster I'm doing at work. So I'm currently using a VirtualBox with Ubuntu 24. Oh, whoa. So you can see it's even too warm here for my camera, but don't worry. I'm prepared for this. I think we had it a few live streams. So I just need to turn it off and turn it on again. And, oh, wow, okay, so, I hate this so much, but don't worry. Probably need to cool down a couple of seconds and then it's working again. I knew this would happen. I probably should Okay, so you need to give me a few seconds. You can see I'm fighting with the high temperatures here. But yeah. Yeah, don't worry. So it's gonna cool down in a couple of seconds, and then I'm back here. It's nice equipment. Okay, so I hope it's gonna the fan is doing its job and cooling down the camera, but yeah. Oh my god. It is so warm here, it is absolutely insane, but hey, yeah. Let's see, I hope it is now stable. Okay, alright, so let me return to your question, man. So, the question was, I currently use VirtualBox with Ubuntu 24.04 nodes. I connected the nodes with a NAT and a host-only network, and as a CNI, I use Docker. The problem is with the CIDR, the internal network, and the DNS, everything runs, but the internal network seems to not exist. Well, honestly, this is probably something we should take offline. So, by the way, if you're not a member of the Discord already, then please join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. And then you can ask the question in the help forum. So maybe we ask you to share some details and explain a bit more about your network, because it's just impossible to do tech support in a YouTube live chat. It's like, so let's take it offline. That's gonna help you much more. And yeah, so that's it about those type of questions. All right, so next question is from Mark Macmillan. You mentioned in your Kubernetes video that the cost was higher than you thought it would be. Are you able to expand on that? Well, that is a pretty good question. Yeah, I was expecting that. Honestly, I cannot tell you the exact numbers, but the problem I got with this Kubernetes cluster, so maybe I'm just going to show you, is like, so if we go to my Patreon page quickly, you can see that here in the write-up, I have linked to my kit page, and here on this kit page, I'm maintaining this this kit with all of the hardware requirements. So the problem I had is I needed to find a solution for a reliable storage for the Raspberry Pi, as well as power over Ethernet, because I wanted to have it. And as you might have seen in the video, the cost of the entire project is not really, the problem is not the Raspberry Pi or the computing unit, because the computing unit, the Raspberry Pi itself, is about, like, I think it's about $90 or so. So that's pretty, I would say that's fair, right? So this is not what drives the cost. But the problem is, if you want to connect those different adapters, yeah, first I needed to buy this PoE hat, and this PoE hat alone cost about like 24. And then I wanted to add the NVMe adapter on top of it. And because there is so much space here, and I also had bought this stupid LCD screen from Ragnex, I wanted to connect to the pins, and the pins were just taken by this NVMe adapter. I needed to buy this micro connector to have some additional pins for connecting the LCD screen, as well as some standoff spacers. And a longer PCIe cable, right? And those accessories alone, they don't cost much on their own, right? I mean, this cable probably is about $8. The standoff spacers might cost like 8 or 9. And this GPIO splitter or connector cost like, I don't know, 3 or 4. But just imagine you need to buy this for every Raspberry Pi, so you need to buy all those items 3 times, and they add up quite a lot. So I believe, like, alone for all of those things here, without the NVMe is even not included, I probably spent like, how can I say it, like so 160, 170 on each unit, right? plus the Regnex case, which was another like 300, because I wanted to have that one with Rails. I wanted to have the LCD screen and all of that add-on stuff, yeah, that I thought would be nice. So in total, that probably cost like 800-900. And that's just a rough estimation, right? And then you definitely can argue about, well, wouldn't it be much smarter to just buy a couple of mini PCs, right? Maybe some mini PCs for 100 or 200 euros. That would be much cheaper than this entire Kubernetes Raspberry Pi project. So, yeah, so probably it is not the smartest or the cheapest way to do it. But as I told in the video, I'm not doing this because of I want to find a cheap way to run some Kubernetes clusters. So then I would probably just continue using my virtual machines on my Proxmox server, right? So that didn't cost me anything, just a few resources on my Proxmox cluster. So, but I wanted to try out how Kubernetes runs on bare metal, how to do network routing on bare metal devices, and all that stuff that is required. And also I wanted to tinker with the Raspberry Pi, see how it works, because I didn't have much previous experience with it. So the main reason why I started this project and used the Raspberry Pi as my main computing unit for this Kubernetes cluster was not because the Raspberry Pi is the best way to do it. It's just because it was a fun experiment, yeah, and I wanted to play around with some tech and stuff. But honestly, if you just need a cheap way to run Kubernetes, I would definitely not recommend using something like this. I would go with a mini computer, run it on free virtual servers on your Proxmox, and that's going to be much more efficient. Maybe also in terms of power consumption, I can't really tell, but we will see. Because the main reason why I think this is much more efficient for my setup is because my big Proxmox server currently runs everything. And I just want my Proxmox server, and I want to shut it down at night to save some power. Because I'm running an entire Proxmox cluster, so I need to take it down entirely. So that will save some power. And the Raspberry Pi can run 24/7, doesn't consume as much as a big desktop computer with lots of VMs on it. And that's why I believe for my purpose it will be much more efficient. But of course, if you're thinking about like investment cost and so on, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this to everybody. So you need to carefully think about it, if it's worth your time, if it's worth your money experimenting with this. But as a fun project, I mean, you could use the Raspberry Pis later for any other project, yeah? Use it for IoT stuff and so on. If you feel like, okay, Kubernetes is, yeah, not the right thing for me, I want to reuse the Raspberry Pis later, or you could resell those units as well. They don't really fall down in terms of like worth. So it's an investment that you need to take, but yeah. It's also a fun and cool project. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, so sorry, I probably will take some time to read through it. Because John said something related. I thought about going with a free Minisforum MS01, but in total, the storage and memory for 3 nodes, you're looking at 4K. Yeah, that's the biggest problem I have with the Minisforum MS01. So I've read some of those. Watched some of the videos, reviews by other YouTubers, and I believe it's a pretty good choice, the Minisforum MS01. The one problem I got with it is, or the two problems I got with this device is, first, it's pretty expensive on its own. And no, I've got 3 problems with it, okay? So first problem is the Minisforum MS01 is quite expensive on its own. Then it does have a GPU, which I don't need, so why should I waste some money on GPUs that I would never use in a HomeLab environment? And the third is that, you have to find some sort for mounting this thing in my server rack. So that is really not my, not the right fit for my HomeLab. The BD770i is working great, so I had no issues with it. It's perfect. I added a couple of things to it. First, a CPU fan. I added it because that's definitely making a difference. But anything else is, yeah, the BD770i is just amazing. It's really a great board. So, and it still holds up to the temperatures here in the server room, by the way. But you definitely need the fan. So that's something you need to take care. All right, so I'm just reading through the other questions, so you probably need to wait a bit until I come to the latest chat. I'm sorry. Thank you, Aditya, for your message. I've been watching your videos regarding HomeLab, and they've been inspiration for my HomeLab. That's awesome to hear. Thank you. Yeah, Marcelo, first of all, you're amazing. Love your videos and learned a lot. Thank you. That's amazing. Really nice. Seals, hi. A personal question, if you don't mind. Did you have a job, or is YouTube your main job? I think I answered that a couple of times, but nothing has changed so far. So I'm still not a full-time YouTuber, so I do this as some sort of part-time job beside my main job. And yeah, there are a couple of things that currently are changing at my main job. So I'm getting new responsibilities. Luckily, many more technical responsibilities. So I'm playing around with more tech in my main job, which is amazing because before I was working as a tech account manager, which is really just hopping onto meetings and doing customer support and all that stuff. And yeah, I don't like it so much anymore. So I'm really happy to switch the responsibilities a bit back to technical stuff. So that's what I'm currently working on. And so far it's been great. So yeah, I'm not planning any change on that. So even though YouTube is a nice hobby project, it's probably going to stay at that. At least until like next year. And then I will decide what's going to be the next step for me. But currently until like probably April, May next year, nothing is going to change here. Did like to see a working example of Kubernetes running Raspberry Pis with distributed storage. Yeah, distributed storage is another big topic of that cluster. That's coming soon. I'm currently experimenting with Longhorn again, and so far I can tell Longhorn currently runs pretty well. I don't know why I had some earlier problems with it last time I tried it out, like a year or 2 years ago. But now for the Raspberry Pi, it seems to run pretty well. So I'm currently reviewing it, I'm testing it, and once I'm done with the Longhorn storage, I'm probably going to make a tutorial video about it. Do you think having centralized database for all Docker container is necessary in a HomeLab? Well, that depends a lot on the application. This is a topic we could drill in and go down a rabbit hole, but I had this discussion a lot in my community about databases for applications and containers. So before, I was really a friend of having one central database server, and all the Docker containers that needs to store data in a database would need to use that external database server. So you don't need to set up a new database application for each and every container, because that would be just stupid, right? Part of that is still true. So that's the main thing is, yes, that's right. But there is some more complexity to it, because some application require some very specific versions of databases, and they're not compatible with others, right? You will see that in some of the upcoming tutorials here on the channel. For example, GitLab is such a thing, but also Authentic is another thing that can be problematic in some specific versions of Postgres. Anything that is related to Postgres might be a pain in the ass when it comes to version changes and compatibility. So that's why I believe for those type of workloads, it might be easier to deploy a separate database for just that specific application in the specific version the application is compatible with, and leave it like this. So if you probably can check out the official documentation of the application, what is the version requirement for a database, and then you can decide, hey, I'm going to connect this to an external database, or am I just spin up a new database for that particular app that has this very specific requirement. So this is how I would deal with this problem. But then, of course, if you have a separate database for each and every application, you need to think about backups and stuff, and upgrading and maintenance. It's going to be a pain. But hey, sometimes you cannot avoid these problems. So I would say, if it's possible, use a central database server somewhere, right? It even doesn't need to run in a container. Sometimes it's easier to run this on a virtual server without Docker. But if the application requires a very specific database in a very specific version, and that is maintained by the maintainer of the image, well, then you can use that specific container and a separate database just for this app. So that's my personal recommendation right now. It might change when I've gone through a lot of trouble with that approach, but so far it's been working great. I don't know what you think about it. All right, so by the way, do you hear the fan for the camera in the microphone? Do you hear some background noise? I don't really know. But I can just tell you, with the current temperatures, I need a lot of fans here in the room. I hope noise canceling or noise reduction is helping out. But who knows? Yeah, you can put it in the chat if you like. All right. Gizmo, hey, how you doing, man? First time catching a stream. Yeah, that's amazing. You can still watch the recording, but it's great to see you here. You've been pretty active on the Discord. Yeah, that's nice. Can you give some example for Linux in user management, like you do it for Windows Active Directory? NFS shares don't work well for that purpose. Well, that's a pretty good question. And honestly, I don't have much experience with user management in Linux because that's not really my main interest. So I know how to give folders permissions and how to deal with basic user management. But the extended user management capabilities in Linux, I have no idea. So I really didn't pay much attention to it. And I'm really being lazy in NFS, just connecting this and map it all to a root user, which is, I know, not really how you should do it. But when I have some time, I'll probably review it and try to go through that topic and find some good examples, what I can show you in another video. And this is something we need to cover in a follow-up video, definitely. Save German language or speak for when something doesn't work as planned. Yeah, I could. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, so I can shout and yell something in German if anything goes wrong. Yeah. All right. Okay, so next question is from. Well, I need to scroll up a bit. I'm sorry. Jose de la Cruz. Yeah, I pronounced your name correctly. Awesome. Thank you so much. From Aditya Raj Rai. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but I hope I've done it somewhat okay. How do you make your HomeLab? How do you make sure your HomeLab is secure? That's a pretty good question, and I want to put it aside for a while because I'm making another tutorial video on Waza, which is an open source security platform, and this will be my point of experimenting platform for HomeLab security. So this is probably, let me just do and publish the video. That's going to be the good starting point, and then we can take it from there and discuss all of those things, because I believe like installing Waza in a HomeLab, it's great, but this is not a no-brainer project. Like, Waza is not the Swiss Army knife that you just put on top of something and, oh yeah, now I'm secured. This is an entirely new and very broad and vast topic that we need to explore more. And I also need to review it. It's kind of pretty complex, and you could probably fill up like multiple hours of HomeLab security. I think one thing that should be the focus of this channel is this is not a security channel, and it should not become a security channel. So I'm not going to be the next network Chuck who tries to be a hacker. I'm just going to focus on stuff that I'm good at, which is like HomeLab stuff, trying to make somewhat some medium and advanced topics easy to explain and stuff. And when it comes to HomeLab security, we should definitely focus on topics that are interested for HomeLab or interesting for HomeLab nerds like us. And this is, for me personally, I think the most critical aspect of this is configuration. Configuration assessment is probably by far the most important security thing that you should teach in a HomeLab. Because if you're configuring your servers in a stupid way, you're making yourself vulnerable to like anybody, which is a bad thing. So you should avoid the most stupid things that you can do and follow some best practices when it comes to security configuration. And that's what I'm doing some more videos on in the next couple of weeks. So expect some new content around this, but I probably don't focus too much on that whole threat hunting and malware detection kind of thing, because I believe like malware detection maybe with ClamAV or so would be interesting, but all this threat hunting stuff, I think this is more for security architects interesting. This is not so interesting for HomeLab people. That's what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It probably will take some time until I come to all of your questions. I'm sorry, because those Q&As are just, they fill up the chat so easily and quickly. Sorry, Ralph, that I didn't notice you. Hey, welcome. A long time no speak, by the way. So I'm glad you could make it, but I'm sorry. I need to go through all of the chat messages, and it's gonna be a lot. So I'm sorry that it probably will take some time. I read through all of the questions here. All right, so let me go through. Go through all of that. All right, so I'm just scrolling through some of the earlier stuff that we've discussed with the Minis forum. Yeah, all right. So Elmist Gusman said something, Christian, to eliminate the GPIO breakout, maybe get instead an SSD bracket that mounts under the Pi instead of on top. An SSD bracket, okay, so maybe I should research that. That's a tip I'm probably writing down and check it out later, because I don't know what exactly you mean. But so you mean like, okay, so you mean below the Raspberry Pi. Maybe that's working, but the problem is with the case that I've got, any change to the regular setup to the Raspberry Pi is going to mess up the mounting brackets for the LCD screen and stuff. So you need to put the Raspberry Pi on the bottom of the mounting bracket, and then you can add something on top of it, but you cannot put it below that because the case is not allowing it to do so, because then the ports would not fit into the right space and so on. That's a bit annoying with this case, but I'll check it out. Maybe you mean something different, but yeah, I will check it out. All right, so let me check. No fan noise. Okay, so you guys can't hear the fan. That is great. Otherwise, you probably would have to deal with it anyways, because there's no way I can run all of this equipment with those temperatures here and have no fans. I even don't know how I should deal with my servers, because they're running like the fans are running on 100%. They're just going all in, right? And it's so noisy, even with that like do-it-yourself gear, those desktop fans that usually are not so loud, but yeah, even those I can hear. It's absolutely crazy here. But hey, there's no solution to this problem. I need to be here in the studio, in the attic. There's no other room that I could use for the servers. It's just so horrible. Okay, guys, so I could have one solution. And that's just a suggestion. Enough of you guys need to support me on Patreon and donate a shitload of money to me so that I can buy myself a house. Like all of the other famous YouTubers buy expensive houses, and then I probably could move to a different room or something like that. But as long as I don't have the money for it, I need to stay here and, live with the temperature problems that I got. Yeah, Ralph, yeah, let's buy a house together. Why not? So that would be a solution to this problem, yeah? So start a YouTube channel, be successful, and then we buy ourselves a big house and make a big YouTube studio in the basement. That would be amazing. Yeah, that would be great. No, this was just a joke. So please don't donate money just because of that, right? So that was just a big joke. All right, so let me check. I agree with you for sure. So my biggest concern about having centralized database is a single point of failure. But then again, managing all separate databases is so painful. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what I would add to this, the single point of failure argument is probably not the biggest concern you should have, because what you could do is, when you have a central database server, you could also get yourself a second one, right? So you could use a high available database. That is what you could do. But it's probably going another pain to manage this. So there's no easy solution to this. Yes. Thank you, Ralf. Hier hast du nochmal ein Jahr auf Patreon oben drauf. Danke. Vielen Dank. Das ist so super. Dankeschön. Thank you. So, am I right that you didn't want to buy the house? So is that all you can do? Thank you so much, man. This is amazing. Yeah. By the way, it would be nice to have some sort of YouTuber house where you have a basement with a studio and a separate server room and all of that. That would be just awesome. But I don't know where those famous YouTubers got their money from to buy those places. I didn't get it from YouTube. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, but hey, who knows? I gotta move to Germany. Think about that twice, man. Germany is not as great as you might think it is right now. If you want to move to the United States, I live in a rural area, 4-bedroom house for $60K, and I have fiber to the home. 5. What? Really? That is crazy. You never find something like this in Germany. Nowhere near. I mean, you probably, if you want to buy a house in Germany, and I mean, like, let's talk about, like, if you want to buy a house in Germany, you need to spend at least $500,000, I believe. And then you probably got yourself a good, solid house that you can live in with your family and stuff. But don't expect that it's gonna be modern, right? So if you want it to be modern, you probably would need to spend $1 million or so. Minimum, yeah. Maybe you probably would even more if you want to have all the fancy stuff here. But in Germany, it's really crazy. And I think, like, especially if you need to buy, not just buying, but if you want to build a new house in Germany, we have, as always, strict regulations when it comes to building houses. So there is... This is so stupid. Don't get me started with that. I'm not an expert in this, but I heard so many stupid stories from people that have the wrong spaces or the wrong bricks for building their house, and then they need to rebuild this because they picked the wrong material and stuff. It's absolutely a pain in the ass. If you want to build a house in Germany, I suppose you probably could never do this on your own. You need to hire somebody for each and every aspect of it because you need to comply with all those stupid regulations, and then it's going to be so expensive. So, yeah, it's really like, I would never do this myself right now. Maybe if I got like a few millions, right, then I probably would do it because I could hire somebody to do everything for me. But yeah. Yeah, Germany and regulations. It's kind of a separate thing, right? It's absolutely crazy. But by the way, hey, Ralph, you're probably, I don't know if you know it, but in MERS we now have fiber optical. We now have like those guys. They just ripped off like every brick on the what is called the Bürgersteig. What is this called in I don't know the word in English. Anyways, so they they just Deutsche Glasfaser. No, it's Eon. Eon. And they paid some Eastern European workers to like build that for us, and they are working like, oh, they are working crazy. They are working like every day, like I think from Monday to Friday, and on Saturday they are doing work that doesn't make so much noise, but they are working from 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. It's so annoying. It's so much noise here outside. I cannot even open a window because you would hear all that working noise. But then we probably got like fiber. The problem with it is, I just said, okay, great, we now got fast internet in Germany. How awesome would that be? But the problem is, it's just gonna take forever, and it's gonna be much more expensive than cable is. And I said, why the hell do we need that? So other countries have like 2.5 gig, right? And it probably doesn't cost like $100 a month. I'm probably sure. Like, you can tell me. I'm sorry. Who said that he had 2.5 gig? I think it was Elmas. Was it you? I can't remember. I need to find the message here. But yeah, other countries have that. Germany doesn't have anything like this. We have so slow internet connection, it's horrible. And when we get fast internet, it's not so fast, and it's gonna be expensive as hell. So yeah, that's not so great. I went from Deutsche Glasfaser to 1&1. Now regretting it. Yeah, right. Merce, you're about 30 minutes from where I live. Yeah, cool, nice, yeah. Yeah, don't get me started with that in Germany. It's like the infrastructure in Germany is just a pain. Anyways. All right, so I need to go through some of the other questions. So if I missed your questions, I'm sorry. It was John Wieland, so yeah. One question from Andre. Have you tried other storage options beside Longhorn, maybe Rook Ceph? I haven't. I wanted to try out Rook Ceph. Probably. I mean, like, Longhorn was just the more straightforward option for me. I read that Rook Ceph would be a bit more complicated, so I just went with Longhorn. And maybe I'm gonna try out a different storage provider on not my production Kubernetes cluster, but maybe on my demo Kubernetes cluster or something like that, and play around with it to see how it competes to Longhorn. That would be great, but I think I'm just gonna stay with Longhorn for now and see if it's gonna be reliable, and then just gonna stay with that. But I'm definitely keeping other options in mind, so definitely. Rocky versus Red Hat for on-premise Kubernetes cluster. I don't have much experience with that world, to be honest. Also not with OpenShift, so I can't say anything to this. I'm so sorry, because that's where my experience ends. And yeah, NixOS is still on my list for video ideas for next year. Matt Walker, hey Christian, can you play something on the piano? I probably could. The problem with it is you probably wouldn't be able to hear it, because yeah, because of the microphone has noise canceling and all that stuff. So I would need to find a way to get a cable from that piano into my my recording setup or something like this, and then I probably could. I just started practicing, yeah. So don't expect anything great, yeah. So I'm not good with playing piano. I just do it for hobby. I can't even play by notes, so I can play a few things there. So if I would practice a song, I probably would be able to play it. So what we could do, okay, so let's do kind of a challenge, right? So I need some kind of motivation for this project, right? You can put any song in the chat that you want me to play, right? Any song. It could be anything. And I'm trying to learn it, and I'm gonna play it and record it for you. And I put it maybe on Patreon and make a YouTube post about it. Or maybe I open a second YouTube channel for it, yeah, if you want. So if you got any request for a song, put it in the chat. It can be difficult, it can be easy. So that is not. Please just don't do any classic piano songs. So that are more difficult for, like, my hands are pretty small, so I can. So if I need to play, I don't know what's the word for octave, but if I need to play an octave, my hands are just almost far enough to reach it, right? But the problem with it is, like, if I need to play songs that require, like, a bigger hand, then I got myself a problem. And also because I didn't practice a lot, my muscles in the fingers are not really trained. So I tried to play a few songs that require fast fingering, and that is where my hand just starts to hurt. It hurts like hell after, like, a few seconds. So I'm really out of practice, so yeah, we will see. Okay, so I don't know what is Sandstorm. XLF, I know for sure, of course, but Bohemian Rhapsody, just the beginning. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, all right. No, it's, you got me started. Yeah, all right. River flows in you. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Why not? I practiced it once, but I forgot everything about it. But I'm pretty sure River Flows in You, I probably can learn pretty fast, maybe about in a few days. So, alright, so I'm just gonna write down a couple of songs. Yeah, I don't know what Sandstorm is, to be honest. Is that a song? I'm sorry. Falco. Oh god, no, please don't get me started with that. It's like, can you even play those songs on piano? I don't know. I just gotta write down a couple of things here. And then I'm Hans Zimmer, Interstellar. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, why not? Interstellar is kind of hard. You know, because the problem with Interstellar is, like, it depends on, like, if it's the main theme, which is kind of pretty long. But the problem with that is there are, like, fast movements that you need to learn, which is kind of a bit hard for me to do. But of course, I cannot learn every song. I will pick something that probably is a bit easier for me to get started. Sandstorm is an old techno song. Okay, alright. I just gotta write it down. I will need to listen to it later. Darude. I never heard that, to be honest. Darude. Sandstorm. Okay, right. I'm just gonna write it down. We will see. Finnish band Darude. Ah, okay. Well, I never heard about it before. And sure, yeah, Hans Zimmer is awesome. I mean, like, every soundtrack that he produces is gonna be amazing. Piano Man by Billy Joel. Okay, so I'm also pretty sure yeah, maybe I recognize it when I hear it. Probably, yeah. But yeah, we will see. Okay, guys, so, yeah, thanks for... I'll look in the Discord later. Alright. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's probably... everything that so I will start with something and then I try to practice it and learn it. But I can just tell you, I tried to learn one song from a computer, from a PC game that I just enjoyed so much, and I tried to learn the song, and it's so hard because you need to have like fast movements, and then the space between the keys is so long. So it's really, you need to have really trained hands for it. No, it was from the game Grease. If you know Grease, that's really one of the most beautiful games of all time, honestly. And the theme is just incredible. But it's so hard to play because it requires a lot of skill. And it's also, you need to have trained hands, which I don't have. So that's going to be a problem. So maybe I need to learn this in a few months again, right? You need to keep in mind, I don't have much time to practice. But yeah, I will listen to that Sandstorm song and see if there is any way you could play it. I have no idea. If it's like techno song, well, I don't know if that would sound if you play it on a piano, but maybe. I mean, on YouTube there are so many piano remakes from people that played famous songs, right? I mean, there are YouTube channels about it. Yeah, thank you. I've seen it. I will check it out, Ralph. And then we will see. Yeah, but there are so many YouTube channels playing those piano remakes for each and every song. It's absolutely crazy. There are just a few songs that I personally tried to find and are not existing on YouTube. But I'm also not good with transcoding, so I need to find at least some tutorial for it to play it. Because when you just hear the song and you need to try to transcode it to transcribe. It's called transcribing. This is really difficult. Yeah? So you need to have good ears because you need to differentiate the frequencies from each other. It's going to be pretty hard. So I'm not good with transcribing. I need to find some tutorial for it where I can see which keys are pressed or which keys are played at which time. And then I can practice it, I can learn it. But just from reading the notes, it would take forever for me to read the notes. And then also, yeah. If I got a tutorial, if I see which keys are pressed, then it's going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be easier. Okay, so yeah, I mean, but the thing that I like about playing piano is piano is really that's one of those few instruments where like you probably can play each and every song and it sounds great, right? That's what I like about this instrument. It's similar like to a guitar. Right? If you play any song on a guitar, it's gonna sound great, as well as on a piano. But if you play like drums, or if you play like a trumpet or something like that, it's gonna doesn't sound great, right? I mean, not every song can be played on those kind of instruments, and on piano you probably can play almost every song, right? You didn't share your thoughts on Alle meine Entchen. Yeah, okay, that's for me. That's what I try to teach my son on the piano. I told him, hey, because he's interested in the piano, yeah. He's like, oh, can I play something? But he's just pressing random keys, yeah. And he just said, I'm afraid he's damaging the piano. And I said, look, so if you wanna play, you have to practice, yeah. And I'm telling you what you have to practice. And then he's like, oh yeah, I don't know. And I said, okay, look. Then it's probably not your thing. That's okay. You don't have to play it. Right? So I'm not that kind of father that says, hey, you need to learn piano, you need to play football, you need to do this and this and that. So my son is allowed to do anything he likes. So I'm supporting him with everything that he wants. Yeah. So I'm not saying like you need to do this and this or that. Right? But if he's interested in something like piano, I say, okay, so if you're interested in, you have to do it right. Yeah, you're not allowed to just play around like a fool. You have to practice if you want it. If you don't want, okay, that's also fine. But yeah, then don't ask every time if you can play the piano, right? It's an instrument. It's not a toy. Yeah, that's what you need to teach a 6 years old. But because he thinks like everything is a toy, I probably could show him a home server. Or like, hey, computer, oh, yeah, great. Yeah, I can I can mount everything just randomly together. No, that's not how it works, right? So if you want to do something, you have to at least try to do it right. Yeah, if it doesn't work out, yeah, maybe if it takes forever to learn it, all right. So I'm not pressuring him, but he at least has to try. The same is with school. So he's going to school like in next week. Next week he's going to school, and I said to him, okay, right. So you have to prepare a bit for school. Like try to write numbers, try to write letters, try to learn letters. So and if he's doing those practice, this is not homework. This is just like what I want him to do. But he has to try it right. And I say, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to do it the right way. You just have to try to do it right. I think that's the right motivation, right? Especially later when you're in IT. I mean, you're not supposed to know each and every aspect of Linux, but at least you should have the motivation to do it the right way. You should have the motivation to learn it the right way and not practice something that is wrong. That's what I think is really important. But hey, I know we kind of went off topic, but yeah. Gizmo, thank you so much. Good mindset. Yeah, thank you so much. The mindset of having a HomeLab is to learn. Keep in mind the successful may have just tried once more. Absolutely, yeah, Ralph. This is an awesome statement. Probably an awesome statement to end the live stream right now because it's getting so hot and I just need a break. I'm afraid we probably I didn't answer all of the technical questions. I'm so sorry if I couldn't, but if you want, you can send me a message on Discord, and maybe next live stream we have some more time to go through some other questions as well. I think I could probably make a follow-up video on the Kubernetes cluster with some lessons learned. Maybe. I'm not really sure how exactly I should do it, in which format I should do it, but I think that would be a perfect spot for like maybe some additional video on Patreon. I don't know. We will see. I'm thinking about it. But at least we need to follow up on some of those topics for sure. And yeah, so the next week I will let you know. Anyways, I still have other projects for next week. For example, you know, this week there was no update, but next week, hopefully, my GitLab video is gonna be finished. And yeah, that's going to be a huge topic I need to cover as well. So yeah, a lot of great tech topics here, as well as my new storage server. So all of those topics like storage, Kubernetes, Git, automation, and WASA, security topics, those will be the next projects for the coming weeks. So stay tuned for it. And thanks for jumping into the live stream. Thanks for having this discussion, and yeah, if you want to follow up, join the Discord, give me a DM. That's fine. I'm trying to answer it whenever I have time. And in 2 weeks, I will be live on YouTube again. So thank you so much for jumping in, and have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.